slamming into the end boards. He gets up slowly while Bennett carries in. The shot, score! Bennett, bottom left corner on that one, set up by Jake.
For 34 seasons, Jim Gilchrist has been on the air broadcasting OHL hockey. The majority of that time has been in Kingston. He enjoys what he does, and it shows in his work. Jim describes how it all started.
I started at the radio station in Oshawa, and it was my late brother that got me into the station for an interview. He was working for Manpower Canada at that time, and so he got me into the station for an interview at that time. And it just went from there. They gave me a part-time job. I was doing everything from just rolling records, at that time the old disc records for guys, and operating for remotes and everything, to just doing some part-time weather and news on air. And it was just as I was finishing up high school then that the opening came up in sports. So I got into the sports full-time, and at that time Bob Burr was doing play-by-play of the Oshawa General games and needed somebody to help him out on the color commentary. So that was my first gig in there, and that was in 1972-73 season. And in Oshawa, guys like Rick Middleton, who of course went on to play for the Boston Bruins. That was his last year in junior hockey, so that's where it all started.
Jim was the color commentator on the General's radio broadcasts, so how did he end up doing play-by-play?
I guess that's something that I always wanted to do, so I was just waiting for that opening, and I knew Bob wasn't leaving anytime soon. And at the winter meetings for the OHL, it was their year-end banquet and everything, that I ran into Max Jackson, who at that time was the longtime play-by-play guy of the Kingston Canadians, and who was a legend down in Kingston. He saw me there, and he said, you know, he says, I'm going to be retiring next year as the voice of the Kingston Canadians. He said, but I'm going to stay on for sports director of the radio and TV station for a while. His wife was very ill, and so he didn't want to go on the road all that much, and he wanted to stay by her. So he said, why don't you send down a tape? He says, because I think you'd be the right guy for the job to take over there. So I was knocked out, because I was honored, first of all, that he would think of somebody like me for something like that. So eventually I did get in touch with somebody down there, went down for an interview and got the job, and moved down to Kingston in September. And I knew a handful of people. My wife, who was pregnant with our first child at that time, knew absolutely no one. So we moved down there. She's left at home and I'm on the road, and so that's how it all started down there. But it was something that I really wanted, and I think those 8 years in Oshawa doing color commentary, it just made me that much hungrier for it.
There is something special about calling play-by-play on radio, and I asked Jim what makes it exciting to be in the booth every night.
I think just no two games are the same. You know, you get to your real exciting contests, and you get the ones that, you know, you will be a challenge, because to make that sound exciting, and I always take that as a compliment when somebody sees you the next day and say, oh, heck of a game there last night, eh? I said, yes, thank you. Meanwhile, it was the worst game I'd ever seen. But it was, you know, just those games that just, there's always something different about every game. And the playoff hockey, I just love. You get that feeling in your gut that this is something special and something more on the line. And the further you go into the playoffs, I guess just like the teams, just like the players and the coaches, you get more into it, and you get a little nervous before each game. So it's that playoff hockey, I just love doing that.
Having called over 2,300 OHL games, there is one thing that Jim says he likes most about the job.
I think it's the people. You know, it's something now. It was my 34th year doing this, and they can't take away the friendships that have developed over those 34 years. And it's something like, you know, when you work with guys like Doug Gilmore, Todd Gill, Darren Kiley, and Larry Mavety, it's you know, an honor to work with them, but it's a privilege to say that you know, you consider them friends too in that end. Working with guys like yourself, Dave, and everyone else around the league, and you can always pick out somebody in every city that you work with, or every team that you go up against, that there's special people there, and I consider them friends, and I hope it's the other way around too, and that's something that I'll treasure forever.
And up in front of Morrison, but lost control of it. Out to center, Beckstead takes it with Doggett at the Oshawa line. Beckstead backhander through the crease, just missed on the deflection by Doggett. Over on to the right side, Doggett let it go, and it's just jumped in wide to the right of Altshuler on that clear in by Blight.